So take your time, get comfortable lying on your back. You know, if you need to put a blanket underneath your head to be comfortable for your neck, by all means do that. And you can either stay with your feet on the floor, with your knees bent and feet on the floor, or if you'd like to stretch your legs out. Totally up to you and how your back feels, but just be comfortable. Take your time, let your arms go to where you feel very easy there to be. You can just release, allow the floor to support you, appreciate that firmness of the ground. And then just watch your breath. Letting yourself accept your breaths in and out, feeling the belly rise and fall. And then letting your feet come onto the floor, if they're not already, with your knees bent. And just allow the knees to come gently a little bit from side to side, just a little. So you shift from the top of one hip to the other. And then see if you can start to let your head roll a little bit the opposite direction that your knees are going. So when your knees go to the right, just let yourself roll to the left. As you inhale back up to the top and you exhale the other direction, just release. Almost feel like you're just massaging the back of your head. The floor is giving the back of your head a little massage. Good. And then let everything come back up. So you're looking towards the ceiling, your knees come on back up. And let's cross our right ankle above our left knee, that figure 4 there. Flex through your right foot. And then if you're okay to do this, draw your left leg in and clasp behind your left thigh. Flex through both your feet. Just be mindful, be easy. Starting to wake up the right hip there. And one more breath. And now see if you can extend that left leg up longer, if that's possible. You don't have to come all the way into straight leg, but let yourself just release through the back of the leg a little bit. You can pull the leg in closer to you if it feels good. And then go ahead and bend that left knee again. Bring the left foot back down to the floor. We're going to uncross and we're going to switch and go to the other side. So again, take your time. Bring in that right, as you cross the left ankle above the right knee and bring the right leg in and clasp behind your thigh. At first, just flex through both feet. Let yourself be easy about feeling that left hip now. Start to wake up. Good, and then when you're ready to extend the right leg, again, it doesn't have to be totally straight. You can come as straight as you want to in that leg, and if it feels good to just gently draw the leg in towards yourself too, but don't force anything. Just let yourself easily open up through the back of the leg. And then we'll bend that knee again. We're going to put the right foot back down to the floor and uncross our legs. Good, and from here, let's reach over and get our strap. And let's bring the strap across the ball of the right foot. So take your time, let yourself come across the base of the big toe mound, the little toe mound there with your strap. Let your knee be really bent quite a bit, your right knee. Imagine the knee coming over towards your right shoulder. So you're sliding kind of to the outer right ribs there with your thigh. And then if you can extend your left leg down long on the floor, do. And really, as you come into really extending into that right leg, feel free to let it come farther away from you if you need. Feel free to leave a little bend. We're just going to let our shoulders release down towards the floor. Find a pretty easy way to hold your strap. And don't pull, just let the weight of your arms help you find a little more now. Opening up through the back of the leg. Feeling that left foot so that it's flexed. You feel the heel on the ground and the knee and the toe are facing up. And then bring both ends of the strap into your right hand, left hand onto your left hip. We're going to open out to the right. Let yourself just enjoy now. Finding that outward hip rotation. Roll the right heel up just a little bit. Press into the strap a little with the ball of your foot. Doesn't matter how far you go. It can be, 12 inches or almost to the floor. And then we'll come back up to the top. Let's switch hands on the strap. Left hand comes over to get the straps, and we're going to come over to the left. Now, you may want to go barely over the midline, keeping your right hip close to the ground there, or you might want to continue over with the leg. So that is totally up to you coming into this twist. We're just thinking about waking up the legs and the hips here and coming into the outer right leg there. If you go deeper and deeper into the twist, it might come up more, higher into the buttocks, into your low back even. And then we'll come back up to the top with that leg. And we're going to bring the left foot on up to the strap and put our right foot down on the floor. So adjust again across the base of the big toe mound and the little toe mound with your strap. Let the knee bend. And then when you're ready to extend your right leg long, do. So that you, again, really become aware of that right leg long on the floor. Feel the heel on the ground. Draw it kind of back towards your sitting bone a little bit. And then again, when you're ready to come into a little bit straighter leg, doesn't have to be all the way straight, but you can let the leg come as far away from you as you need. Remember, you don't want to pull. You don't want to feel any kind of pulling sensation at where your hamstring attaches either, at your sitting bone. So just be mindful. Let it feel just like an easy, gentle waking up, really. So one more breath here. And then let both ends of the strap come into your left hand, right hand to the top of the right hip there, and open to the left with the leg. Again, it might be just a little bit, totally up to you. You're not trying to go for as deep as you can go here. You're just letting yourself open up the inner thigh. Press gently into the strap if you can with the ball of your foot. And then we'll come back up to the top. And again, right hand's going to come over to get the strap. We're going to stretch our left arm out beside us and come across to the right. Again, you may want to just barely go. Press into the strap with the foot. Let yourself feel the outside of the leg there. Totally optional to let yourself go farther over if that feels good. Keeping your left shoulder just relaxed down towards the ground. Good. One more breath. And then be mindful as you come on back up to the top. We're going to go ahead and take the strap off the foot. Bring your feet onto the floor again. And from there, widen your feet a little bit towards the outer edges of your mat and let your knees just come easily from side to side here. So letting yourself lower the knees as much as you want towards the ground. So if it feels very, very good to stay on one side and sort of just let your legs hang out there for a breath or two, do. Or maybe you like to continuously move back and forth. That's up to you. Feel your thighs. Let yourself open up in the front of your hips a little deeper with these. Good. And then when you're ready, come on back into center with the knees. Bring the feet on back underneath you. Bring your arms now down alongside you. And let's just come into a little bridge pose. It doesn't have to be high. Press into the feet. Float up a little bit. You can bend your elbows if that's more comfortable for you. Or you can keep your arms long. It's really totally up to you. Just a little bit of a bridge. Feel the thighs engaging. Feel that length both in the front and the back of the body. And then let yourself come on down, and from here, bring your arms up in the air like you're reaching towards the ceiling. Turn your palms towards each other. And then from there, just bring your left arm on top of your right. Give yourself a nice, easy hug, wherever your hands want to go. Maybe towards your armpits, maybe towards your shoulders. And then from there, go on in towards an eagle or a half eagle wrap if you choose to. You can stay hugging. You can come into the wrap. Just waking the shoulders up a little bit here. If you're in your wrap and you can rise your elbows a little more towards your face, do. And then we'll unwind those arms. And now stretch the arms out beside you like you're in a T position, but face your palms towards the ceiling. And let the hands float, just maybe an inch off the ground. So you really feel the weight of the arms there. Let yourself feel your shoulders on the ground. And then we're going to bring our arms up again towards the ceiling and bring the right arm on top of the left to give a hug. So switching the arm that's on top here. Again, stay hugging if you'd rather. Let yourself feel that sense of release between the shoulder blades, whether you want to come into a half or a full wrap, or again, staying hugging. And again, if you're in your eagle full wrap and you want to bring your elbows towards your face a little bit, just be really mindful. Let yourself feel good. Finding that the shoulders here, your arms. And then we'll unwind. Bring the arms on back down, all the way back down alongside the body here. One more brief lift up into a little bridge. Feel the feet in the floor. And then we're going to come on back down. Now, from here to come up to sitting, you can roll to your side to come up, or you can roll onto your back if you like that rocking chair, kind of rolling back onto your back and up. Do whatever's really comfortable for you. Once you get up to sitting, if you can come cross-legged, do. Let yourself release up to the top of your head. And just close your eyes for a second here. Feel how you feel. Feel how your back feels, right? Pretty awake now through the back body. Just lying on the floor. I wish we all spent more time lying on the floor.
Yes.
So from here, let's inhale our right arm all the way out and up overhead. And as you exhale, come over into a little side stretch here. Breathing into that side you're stretching. Let yourself feel the ribs expand with the breath. And if it feels good to let your gaze kind of go from one place to another, down towards the floor, maybe even up towards the ceiling. You can let yourself move your head a little bit. Just be really mindful of how your neck feels. And then we're going to rise on back up, lowering that arm on down. And we'll inhale the left arm all the way out and up overhead and come on over again into the side stretch here. So again, just be easy. You know, maybe you feel like all you want to do is look in one place because it feels like such a release for your neck. That's fine. And you can try moving around, or you can go, yes, no, I'm just going to stay right here, looking where I'm looking because it feels good. And then we're going to rise on back up and lower our arms on down beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then ease your way forward into a little seated forward bend. If you prefer to stretch your legs out, by all means do. You know, be mindful of your own hips, or maybe you prefer to bring yourself soles of the feet together. You know, coming into your forward bend where you're comfortable to be. Be mindful of allowing yourself to feel like you're coming forward from your low back, but then at the end, if you feel okay to round and let your head hang and release a little into the upper back too. Use blocks if you want, for under your hands or your forearms or even your head. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll slowly make our way on back up to sitting. And from here, let's reach back with our hands a little bit to stretch our legs out. And then you can decide, maybe you want to bring your hands onto fingertips back here behind you to open your chest. Or maybe you feel like, I want to put my hands all the way down, turning the fingertips one way or the other, right? So that you feel really good about drawing your chest forward. And be really mindful of your neck. If you want to look forward, do. If you like looking up a little bit, do. Just letting yourself feel that openness across the chest. And see if you can imagine that you're breathing into your lungs equally from the bottom to the top. We're going to rise on back up and go ahead and bring your chin down towards your chest. Let your head release forward. Try to keep nice long length through your spine though. In other words, you're not adding your shoulders and the upper back into the rounding. It's just the head. And then let yourself release to look on forward again. Hands on down beside you, a little staff pose here. Finding that sense of the heels on the ground, lengthening up through the crown of your head. And from here, we're going to make our way on around towards hands and knees. So you know, if you would rather have a blanket under anything, under your hands or under your knees, use it. If your hands or your wrists are really bothering you for any reason whatsoever, remember, you can come down either onto blocks or onto your mat with your forearms and get out of your hands completely and still be able to move through your cat-cow. So just be mindful, you know, take your time. You know, if something's really bugging you, and, you know, as we all know, some days everything feels better than other days when maybe it doesn't feel so good. So if you find any iffy places, if you need to adjust moving through your spine here to a little bit smaller movement, maybe you just need to stay in cat or cow for a couple of breaths without moving. Letting your body adjust. Just be mindful of how you actually feel. And it might be completely different than how you felt yesterday, that's for sure. So finish off the one you're on. And then come on back to a more neutral spine. And let's send our right foot behind us. Keep it on the floor. Curl your toes under. Press into your heel a little bit. Get your hands situated to where you're okay to be, right? And then see if from there you can just lift the right leg up so that it's parallel to the floor. Toes are facing down. Reach your left arm forward, if you can, into that balance there. One more breath. And then lowering the hand and the knee down, and we're going to send the left foot back on the floor, curl the toes under, press into the heel. Wake up the back of the leg a little more, and really engage your belly. Feel that low belly just gently engaging to support you there. Float the leg up, more parallel to the floor. Think of your pinky toe facing down. And if you can extend your right arm forward, coming into that balance there, opposite arm and leg do. And then we'll go ahead and release the hand and the knee back down. From here, you might want your blocks. We're going to step the left foot forward. And we're going to come into lunge here. So actually, let yourself keep the back knee down at first. And, you know, what height you want to be with your blocks is up to you. You may decide you need to put a blanket underneath your knee too. That's fine. So press into the top of the right toes a little bit. See if you can start to use your blocks if you need to get a little more upright here so you feel like, oh, I can look forward. It feels really good. You know, and you know you don't have to shift your hips as far forward. You can be back over more, over your knee with your hip. One more breath. And then we'll come on back and we're going to switch legs. So bringing that right foot forward. So again, you may decide, I just want to be here. I don't want to let myself come so far forward with my hips. It's totally up to you how good it feels for you to shift a little more with your hips forward and coming into opening through the front of that left hip, pressing gently into the top of the toes. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to shift back and we're going to come to the other side again. So this time when the left foot comes forward, we're going to go ahead and lift that back knee up and come on into lunge. So Adjusting again how high you want your hands. Take your time as you come into your lunge here. And remember, if your hands bother you, you can do fists, you can come to fingertips, you can come to flat hands. Just be really mindful about not feeling too much tension in your hands. And now see about bringing your left hand to your left hip and just roll that shoulder up. Come into a little twist there. Let it feel really good. Lengthen out through the top of your head. And if you want to stretch your left arm up, feel free to do it. You can or you don't need to. And then we're going to release to bring the hand on down. And we're going to switch legs. So bringing that right foot forward, the left foot back, and really getting your lunge established. Remember, take your time. Make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. And then when you're ready to bring that right hand up to the low back and roll your shoulder up. Try to stay fairly level there in your hips. And you're welcome to reach that arm up if you want. And you can leave it hand down if you want to. Really be mindful of your shoulder. Good. And then we'll come on back down with the hand. And we're going to step forward from here and come on into our Uttanasana. So as you make your way into getting comfortable in your standing forward bend, do what feels good, right? Get your feet adjusted, kind of walk a little bit, bending a knee at a time. And then once you get pretty even between your feet, bend both your knees a little bit. Use whatever support you need. You know, if you need to put your elbows above your knees, do. If you feel fine to go ahead and bring your hands down towards the blocks or the floor, do. And then just let yourself release into your breath, feeling the weight of your head. You know, your legs can come straighter. You just want to make sure you're not locking your knees, you know. Feeling your sitting bones pretty much over your heels. And then watch those full, deep breaths. All the way in and all the way out. One more complete deep breath here. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips, bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up to standing. Inhaling our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, letting our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So whatever you need to do to find your mountain pose, right? If you need to shift side to side, front to back, if you need to look at your feet, make sure you don't have a little bit of a difference that's probably not the best thing. So you do kind of want your feet to be fairly even, right? You don't want one foot farther forward than the other or more turned out than the other. So you're able to feel as balanced as you can between your feet. And then once you bring your gaze forward, really feel your hands together. So as you feel the fingers connecting here, for a second, bring your awareness to your pointer fingers and just fold them down, right? So you're folding them down and the rest of the fingers are long and together, and so are your thumbs. And then we're gonna fold our middle fingers down so that we're coming into now pinkies and ring fingers are long and connected, and your thumbs are. And let's go to the ring fingers now, folding them down. So all we have out there are pinkies and thumbs. And then go ahead into the pinkies so that now you're clasping your hands together. And then add your thumbs so that everything's clasped. Squeeze your fingers a little bit, squeeze your palms towards each other. Good, and then let's come back to the thumbs being long. We're gonna just reverse the process. And then come back to your pinky fingers coming together. So thumbs and pinkies are now there. And now your ring fingers are gonna unfold and connect. And now your middle fingers. And then let's go right to the pointers. So now we're all back together again. So let yourself spread the fingers wide. Kind of let your hands be very lightly touching now if you can. Feel your feet in the floor. Enjoying your mountain pose, bringing your gaze on forward and out, whether your eyes are open or closed. And then we'll release to unfold our arms on down, and we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bend our knees, coming forward from the hips into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back, wherever you want your hands to be to help support you. we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time. Let your body adjust into down dog. Move if you need to. Wag your tail if that feels good. Let your head turn side to side. Walk the dog if it feels really good. So get into that pose where you feel like you can feel your whole body. Feels very easy to feel your elbows hugging towards each other and your feet pressing gently away from each other. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out and forward towards a plank. Now, if you need to put your knees down, do a half plank do, or if you need to come to your forearms, do. Nice and strong. And then we're going to lower down. So if you want, you can put your knees down first to do that, elbows right by the ribs. Then let's come on up into Sphinx Pose, elbows under the shoulders for a second. Really, actually turn your hands over for the backs of the hands to be towards the ground and the palms to be facing up. But still keep your fingers spread and kind of feel your fingernails into the ground a little bit there. One more breath. And then softly turn your hands on back, palms down. And we're going to lower on down halfway to the ground, slide our hands back by our upper chest. So you're up a little bit, and that can be where you want to stay in Cobra. You can stay right there. If you feel like you want to come up a little higher and press into your hands, you can come all the way up into your Cobra if you choose to. Elbows hugging in towards the ribs, shoulders down, away from the ears. And then we're going to release and come all the way back down. And we'll make our way back to down dog, however you choose to get there. Back to hands and knees, or back through a full push-up, or back through a half push-up. And we'll bring the right foot forward to find lunge from here. And you can put your left knee down to get there, however you need to get into lunge. And come on back into our standing forward bend. So into your Uttanasana. And letting yourself just allow your hands to go wherever you need, right? Elbows above knees for support, hands to block through the floor. Or if you want to hold your elbows and feel that full weight, remember it's fine to keep your knees bent. Let yourself just allow the pose to let the backs of the legs just gradually open up more and more. Feeling the weight of your head, space in your spine. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, press into our feet, rising on up to standing, and inhaling our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's sit back into a little chair pose. You don't have to go any lower than you want. Let your hands stay at your heart. Let your gaze come maybe 6 to 8 feet in front of you there on the ground. And just be mindful of feeling very equal through your feet. Knees right out over the center of the feet. One more breath. And then we're going to fold forward into standing forward bend. And let your next inhale lengthen out your spine again. And this time left foot comes back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So again, take your time. Let yourself find dog. Spread those fingers nice and wide. Really think about your hands on the ground here. Feel your thumb and your pinky. And then, make sure you're not rolling to the outsides of your hands. So you're really pressing into both the thumb and the pinky. And the rest of the fingers too. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to plank again. And now from here, let's do just a little side plank work. You can do a full or you can do the variation. Putting the left knee down for the variation, shifting onto your left hand, and bringing your right hand on up towards the ceiling. And you can do a full one if you want. You can have both legs long. And if you feel like letting yourself lift your right foot up a little bit up off the floor, whether you're in a full or in this variation, you can. And then we'll come on back down. We're going to go back to plank and walk a little bit in your plank. So when you bend one knee, go to the top of that foot and press down into the top of the toes. So one leg at a time bends and you point the foot and press into it. So you kind of roll over the tops of the toes. Let it feel good. Take your mind off of what your arms are doing, right? And then we're going to go the other side. So right hand is your support, knee if you want it down, or you can go into your full side plank. Remember, if you don't feel like the right hand's in the right place, you can come down and reposition. And again, if you want to lift that left foot up off the floor, you can. Don't have to. So just one more breath there. And then we're going to come on back down, back into plank. Good. And then we're going to lower down. Knees first if you want. Elbows right by the rib. From here, let's come into that baby cobra at first. Let yourself just stay there for a breath. Elbows hug in. Let it feel really easy. Good. And then if you want again to press up higher, you can. I know some of you really love to come fully into that cobra pose. And then from here, we're going to shift back towards pose of a child. You don't have to go fully into child's pose. You know that. Pay attention to your knees and your hips. Let your low back release. And then come up enough to walk your hands over to the right. And once you go as far over as you think you want to go, let your left hand reach over to be on top of your right hand. And then go ahead and stay there. If you can let your head hang due so you can release your neck. And breathe into that left side. Feel the ribs expand. Oh, and then we're going to come back through center. So walk your hands back. We're going to go to the left. So again, you kind of go as far as you're like, oh, that feels really good. And then see about bringing your right hand to be on top of the left hand, which just makes it a little deeper. And again, just breathe into that right side. And from here, we'll undo ourselves to come on back into center again. Take your time, relax in your child's pose. Maybe you want to bring your arms back alongside your legs with the palms up. Or maybe you want to keep them soft overhead. You know, you want to find what feels really good to you in your shoulders. Breathing into your low back. Good. One more full deep breath. And then as we bring our arms back overhead, if they're not already, we're going to come up to all fours. And we're going to curl our toes under and come on back into down dog. And this time, left foot is going to come forward to lunge, however you need to get it there. And then we'll come all the way back into our standing forward bend. If you can, now don't do this if it bothers you. You know you can keep your elbows above your knees if you need. But if you can cross your hands, cross your wrists, and slip your fingers underneath the arches of your feet so that they're like the tips of your fingers are pressing up into the arches of your feet. Your thumbs are kind of on top of your feet, right? And then just try to really release there. So if you're able to really find some strength in your fingers to press up into that arch of the feet, you might find some pretty tight places. See if you can just breathe. If you need to kind of move the fingers a little bit to a different place to feel something different, do, but just appreciate allowing yourself to breathe into where you feel any tightness there in the arches of the feet. One more breath. And then let your hands release. Bring them up to your hips. Bend your knees a little bit as you rise on up to standing. And inhale your arms out and up overhead. And as you exhale, let your hands come down together in front of your heart. Finding your mountain pose. Really feel your feet in the floor. If it helps you to lift your toes up to get yourself kind of evened out, do. But feel the toes softly into the ground. Get that sense now of starting in your feet, growing up out of your feet, feeling the thighs gently engage upward, letting your pelvis get aligned, that tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. And just let it feel so easy as you lengthen up through the crown of your head to come into that balanced feeling of your mountain pose. And then from here, take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, sit back into that chair pose again. Now, if you can go a little bit lower this time, do bless you. And if you can twist to your right ear, you're more than welcome to put your left elbow right there on your right knee. You don't need to. You can stay up higher if you want to. Staying very even in your hips, in your knees bent, lengthening out through the crown of your head. And then we're going to come back into center. Take a nice inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to go to the other side. So again, you can stay up higher. You don't have to have the elbow on the knee. Actually, I have to be honest, it helps to have the elbow because you can push into and really lengthen out through your spine. One more breath. And then come on back into chair pose again. One more inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to fold forward. We're going to move with our breath. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. And exhale, right foot back into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog. Let your inhale bring you to your plank, and your exhale will lower you down. And inhale into your cobra of choice, exhaling back into downward facing dog pose. Inhale, exhale right foot forward to lunge, and inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top with the breath. And let the breath be what carries you forward. Inhale into that long back. And exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank. That exhale will lower you down however you want. And inhale into the cobra of choice. And exhale back to your down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward again. Inhale, nice long back. We're going to come into down dog. Place your hands, jump, walk your way, do what you want to get back. And be easy. Bend your knees a little bit, walk a little bit. Be easy in your dog. Good. And from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward. And you'll want your blocks handy maybe. We're coming up to warrior two. So let your heels get lined up. Bend into that front knee. Kind of let your arms be really heavy. I mean, even kind of move them around a little bit and feel the weight of the arms. Start to just let yourself feel your shoulders nice and wide and open. And then when you're ready and you start to float those arms on up and out, really reach out through your fingertips, coming into your warrior two arms. So feeling like you're just as much reaching back through the right fingertips as you're reaching forward through the left. Softening the tops of the shoulders down. Good. One more breath here. And then we're going to turn that left palm up. Bring your right hand to your right leg. Slide the right hand down a little bit and come into your reverse warrior. Breathing into the left ribs here. And on your next exhale, come on into side angle. So you can bring your hand or your forearm to your thigh. You can go to your block if you want. Swinging that right arm up into line if your shoulder allows you to do that. Feeling that length now. Reaching your right sitting bone down towards your right heel. Feeling the extension through both sides of the body. Good. One more breath here. And then start to look down towards your left foot there on the ground. And bring your right arm up like it would be for triangle, straight up from your shoulder, unless you have shoulder problems. And then put your left hand down where you like to use for triangle. You all know me, I like a block, but you might want to use your leg on the floor. And then come into straightening that left leg out. Watch your left foot as you do that. Make sure you're not rolling on it. And when you feel like you're into your triangle pose, start to turn your gaze to look straight out. I mean, some of you might want to look up towards your hand. That's totally up to you. You can keep your gaze forward, and if your neck bothers you, keep your gaze down. It's fine. The eyes are lifting up towards the hips. Letting yourself feel really extended out through both sides of your body. Such an amazing pose. One more breath. And then bend your left knee. Come on back into warrior two. Press the feet away from each other. Feel the strength there in the core body to get you right easily back up there. And we're going to bring our hands down and turn our feet more parallel. You may want to adjust how wide they are. And if you want your blocks, grab them. We're going to come on forward into a wide-legged forward bend. So take your time, bend a knee at a time, kind of move around however your body naturally wants to move around. And then if you can turn your toes out a little bit so that you come almost like you're in goddess, bend both your knees at the same time. And again, you can keep your hands on blocks, that's fine. But straighten out your left leg, let your right knee stay bent, finding that nice stretch there, and then just switch to straighten your right leg out, your left knee's bent. And do that again, shift over to bend the right knee, straighten the left. If you want to pick the left foot up, you can with the heel only on the floor. That adds a little bit. And then shift back to center and see when the right leg comes straight if you want to pick the right foot up and be on your heel. Good. Now the next step is totally optional. So if you want to shift and bend the right knee, if you want to put your left hand on the floor and shift your hips down when your foot comes up, you can. Not necessary. Not everybody's hips like to do this. And then you can come on back through center. And again, when the right leg goes straight, if you lift the foot up, if you want to put your right hand kind of behind you to support yourself and let yourself come lower. Totally optional. And then come on back into center. Let's turn our toes parallel again. And then once you're there and you feel pretty comfortable, walk your hands over towards your right foot. Doesn't matter how far you go. Just take a breath or two there. Let yourself breathe. You can just be on your blocks if you need in front of your foot. And then come back through center. Walk on back through so we can go to the left. And again, once you get as far as you want to go, see if you can just breathe. Let your head hang. Let your jaw go. And then we'll come on back into center. Now to set up for staying in this pose, everybody is different. If you know that you prefer to have your hands or forearms onto blocks, you can be out with a long back. You can feel free to use your blocks for your head if you'd rather. Bring your hands down more to between your feet or behind you, right? So just be comfortable. Somewhere where you can stay and you're not fighting yourself. You can really feel that full release of the body. Feel those full breaths coming in and going out. So feel the ribs expanding as you breathe in. Letting the inhales and exhales feel equally important so that they even out a little bit in length. Good. One more full deep breath. And then we're going to walk our hands on back out. And we are going to walk back to our left foot to come into lunge. And from there, we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. So take your time. Come on out to your plank here. And then if you want to move through for a back bend, do. You don't have to. You can stay in your plank for another breath. You can come through for an up dog without bending your elbows, or you can come through chaturanga if you like and come into your back bend. And then make your way back into down dog. And now you're on your own. If you want to put your knees down and rest for a little bit, do. If you decide, I want to move through and do another vinyasa or kriya, I really feel good to let myself move a little bit, then you can. And if you're doing something two-sided, make sure you even yourself out. We're going to meet back in down dog, so get yourself, when you can, back into your downward facing dog pose. Good. And then from there, we're going to bring our right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two on the other side. So again, you may want your blocks, knowing what's coming here, and your side angle and your triangle. So let yourself line up your heels again. And then again, let your arms just kind of hang. Shake them out a little bit, wiggle them around. You might even want to move through your shoulders a little bit. And then when you do get to where you just want to go, let the shoulders release down, the arms hang. It's easy to float the arms on up and out. Right on out from your shoulders, maybe a tad higher, depends on you, how it feels. Soften the shoulders down. Imagine your arms are growing out of your back so you're not tensing your shoulders up at all, and you're reaching equally back through the left fingertips and forward through the right. And then as the left hand comes down and the right palm turns up, we're going to inhale and reach as far up or behind yourself as you want. You can go back a little or you can go straight up, breathing into the right ribs. Good. Let your next exhale bring you into that side angle. So again, it can be your hand or your forearm onto your thigh or your hand down to the block if you want. You can add that left arm up into line if you choose to, or you can keep the hand down, really. You don't want to do something that makes your shoulder feel worse, right? So really elongating through both sides of the body. Imagine you're drawing your outer right hip back a little bit, which makes it even longer through that other side of the body, really. Good. One more breath. And now look down towards your right foot on the floor. Let the left arm come up, straight up from your shoulder, and start to release your right hand, what you want to use for triangle, right? And as you straighten that right leg out, watch your right foot. Make sure you're not rolling on it. There you are right now into triangle, thighs lifting up towards the hips. And then you can decide, do you want to turn your head to look towards forward? Do you want to keep on going to look up towards your hand up there? Thighs are engaging up towards the hips. Enjoy that wonderful sense of trying to make your mat longer with your feet at the same time thighs are lifting up. And then go ahead and start to bend that front knee. Coming back into Warrior Two. Very strong, rising back up. Right back into the core of the body. Nice. We're going to bring our hands down. Turn our feet more parallel. Adjust again your stance. Before you come forward, bring your hands behind you. Let yourself clasp your hands. Open across your chest here. Really feel what your pelvis is doing. Your hands are right there. So you can tell if you're tucking your tailbone forward and up under you, right? Think about it reaching back like it's coming down towards between the back of your heels if your feet were under you. And then start to come forward. Now, this is all up to you. If you come just a little bit and want to stay there with your hands back like that, do. You can go all the way parallel to the floor if you want. Knees can be bent. You can have a long back. And I know some of you will want to keep going and let the top of the head just release down towards the ground. And for some of us, our shoulders feel good to release our arms off our back. But everybody's shoulders aren't built the same. So you be where you can. If you need to keep your hands down and you need to stay up higher, do it. Let yourself find where you can be. Feel the feet pressing away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. One more breath here. And then we're going to release. Let our hands come on down. And you find how you want to stay in this pose for a few more breaths. Do you want to let your hands be between your feet? Do you need to rise to support yourself with either blocks under your forearms or elbows under your knees? And then just breathe. Nothing you need to do. Just accept your breaths. Nice and full and deep. And if you can, take a couple of breaths to really find those little spaces between your breaths. Those little pauses. At the end of your inhale, the little space or pause before you exhale. And at the end of your exhale, the little space or pause before you inhale. And if you think of just really letting go deeper in those little spaces between the breaths, it's almost like you can get lost in the little spaces between your breaths. one more full deep breath here. And then we'll walk our hands on back out. We are going to come back to the right foot to come on into lunge again. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. And you're on your own here. You know, do what feels good. If you feel like putting your knees down, you know, if you feel like opening your hips, you can always let yourself lift a leg up at a time and open up your hips a little bit. You can come into your vinyasas or kriyas, of course, you know. Just be mindful of your shoulders. If you need to come into child's pose, do it. Take your time. Good. And then finish off so we can meet back briefly in down dog. And then from here, easily bring your left foot forward into lunge and grab your blocks, okay? And let's come up to the highest height on our blocks, all right? So we have them all the way up. And then from here, we're going to come into pyramid pose, bringing that back heel down to the ground, adjusting the length of your stance. So you're up higher here on your blocks. Let yourself enjoy that. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. And really come into that flat back. Enjoy feeling the belly engaging. At the same time as you're engaging your belly, you're reaching your tailbone back, but the belly is still working, right? You have a little bit of a natural curve in your low back. Now, if you're able to go lower on the blocks, do it. Just the next height down, maybe, so that you come a little bit more forward over the leg. Keep those thighs lifting up towards the hips. And then see about bringing your left hand to your left hip and rolling that left shoulder up into Revolve Triangle. Right heel is still on the floor. You're more than welcome to stretch that left arm up if you want to, or you can keep the hand down. Now those of you who really like to try a little deeper can come down and send your right hand over to the outside block, outside your foot if you want to, and work a little bit there. That is totally optional. A lot different feeling than having the block on the inside of the foot. Now one more breath, whatever one you're working on, and then come on back down with both hands on either side of your foot up there on the blocks. Maybe you want to fold over your front leg. Don't need to, but you can if it feels good. And then we'll come up, we're going to bend the front knee, find a little bit of a lunge there, and bring your blocks way forward of you to highest height. And we're going to launch ourselves on up into Warrior 3 from there. So shifting onto that left foot. Bend both your knees and let the right foot be up like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling. So both knees are bent, right? And see if you can, from there, think of lifting the right knee up a little higher and then back down. You won't want to do it very many times. It's really intense in the glutes, but you can lift the foot and the knee up a little higher, let it come back down. And when you're like, okay, that is enough of that, come on back, find your Warrior 3 now, point the toes down towards the ground. If you want to release your left hand off the block, you can bring it wherever you want. You can bring it to your back, you can bring it to your chest, or you can release and reach the arm forward. That's up to you. And you don't have to do that part. You can hold on for dear life to those blocks. Good. So one more breath there. And then we're going to come on back into lunge from there. So reach your way back into your lunge. Let it feel kind of good and like a relief. And from here, we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Good. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times. Nice. And then right away from here, we're going to bring the right foot forward to lunge. So again, find your lunge. Have your blocks now to the highest height. And then again, we're going to kind of make our way into that pyramid pose. So thighs are engaging up. You've got that back foot fully on the floor, turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees. Thighs are really lifting up towards the hips, creating space in your knees. Nice flat back. So you're really lengthened. Once you sort of start to get used to that, see if you can lower your blocks down a little bit. so that then your torso is coming a little bit more forward over that leg. Thighs are still lifting up. Good. Now to add to the Revolve Triangle part here, again, left hand can just stay on that block. You can bring your right hand on up, rolling that shoulder up, feeling really fully grounded in that right foot. And you can stretch the arm up if you want to. Remember, both legs are attempting to be straight. Both arches of both feet are lifting up. Try not to roll to the inside of your foot. And if you like to experiment with bringing your hands down and reaching across to the outside block, you can play with that a little bit. It is a much more intense pose. And then releasing to come on back down. Now, if you like to fold over that leg, go for it. You know, some of you might even want to put your hands on the floor, turn your fingertips to face the foot of your mat, and release forward. That is optional. Don't do it. If it bothers you, don't do it. And then we're going to come up enough to find a little mini lunge. Let yourself stretch your arms forward so your blocks are highest height right out there in front of you. And this is the fun part, right? Pushing off that back foot, rising on up into Warrior 3. It's like you float up there. Bend the top knee, bend the knee you're standing on. And again, lift and lower a little bit. Lift and lower until you're like, oh, there are my glutes. And it's not big, it's little, it's tiny. It's like you can hardly see it. The knee's up there and then it comes up. Okay, that's enough of that. And then stretch your leg down again into Warrior 3. Take your time. If you want to bring your right hand up or both hands up, by all means do. Play where you want to be. Woohoo! One more breath. And then we're going to come back into lunge. So let yourself, as gracefully as possible, come on back into your lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. You're on your own, whatever you want to do, because this is the last ones. So if you want to do any more vinyasas or kriyas, go for it. If you're like, no, I'm done, I'm good. Put your knees down if you need to. Good. And then we are going to finish off to meet back in down dog. And then from here, separate your feet wider on your mat. Walk your hands on back. You can, if you want, bring your elbows above your knees, squat like that. If you like to squat lower, by all means do it. You can turn your toes out. You can be more parallel if you want. If your heels don't stay on the ground, you can let them rise up if you choose. You're trying to find what feels the best for your low back and hips, right? The best release. So just enjoy, breathe. Feel that nice release. Good. And now from here, we're all down pretty low enough to want to go down onto our bellies, I think. So let's come on forward and on down. Bring yourself all the way down onto the mat, onto your belly. Make a little pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead on your hands and then bend your knees and really let your feet circle. Do your own little foot dance back there. You can move around however you want. You can do the lower legs side to side if that feels good. I mean, you can even do the opening the lower legs out and then crossing your ankles back and forth if that feels good in your hips too. So just be mindful. Let it feel good. Good, and we're going to come on up now into a Sphinx pose just for a couple of breaths, just to get ourselves opened up here. Good, and then from here, let yourself come down enough onto your left forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat to bend your right knee. Now some of you will want to reach back and get your foot and some of us won't, right? And you know, if it's too much of a back bend and half bow to even be here, put your head down. If you want to pull your heel in towards your buttocks for a couple of breaths, pull it towards the outer side of your buttocks a little bit. And then you can press your foot into your hand if you have it. Let yourself come up. And you can bring your arm even more underneath you. Come up higher in half bow if you choose to. Or you can stay down low. You don't even have to lift your head off your hand. So you be where you can be. You're feeling that great sense of the quad engaging, whether you have the foot or not. One more breath. And then we're going to lower down. And we're going to switch arms. So once you put your head on your right forearm there and you bend your left knee, you lift your head up. You're experimenting here with how far you want to go. So if you like to reach back and get your foot, again, you can pull the foot in towards the outer part of the buttocks a little bit if that feels really good in your thigh. Don't do anything that puts too much pressure on your knee. And then you can push the foot into your hand, which rises your chest up usually. And, you know, your arm can help you go up higher if you want. That is totally optional. Half bow pose can be with your body down much lower and still be a half bow pose and get just as much benefit. Good. We're going to come on down from there. Bring your forehead back to your hands. Let your legs be long. Take a couple of breaths into your low back. And then release your arms down alongside you. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, float on up into a locust pose, reaching the fingertips and the toes back. And you know, it doesn't have to be high here either. You can be really low and still engaging your back body in locust. And then come down, take a breath again into your low back. Let your hips kind of shift around a little bit. And now you can either come back up to that locust again, or some of you might want to do a full bow pose. So if you do want to bend your knees, reach back and get hold of the tops of your feet. Or even not. Maybe you want to just bend your knees and lift your head up a little bit. If you got your feet, if you push them into your hands, that draws your shoulders back. And if you lift your feet up and your thighs up, it just goes a little deeper. And then we're going to release down. From here, shift your way back. Let yourself come onto forearms with your hips up in the air. So not all the way back to child's pose, but enough to really release your hips and your back. And then, you know, you might need to kind of adjust yourself on your mat. We're going to come on up into a little dolphin pose. So whether you like to keep your hands separate or clasp your hands and send your pinky out, it is totally up to you. So if you know that you don't want to do dolphin, but you're okay to do like a forearm or a half forearm plank, you can do that instead. And if you're like, I don't want to do any of those, you can stay and rest towards child's pose or a variation thereof. So pressing into the forearms if you're up here and drawing your elbows softly towards each other. Letting your head hang. Remember, your head's not on the floor. And just release between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. We're going to bring our knees down. And we're going to rest, and you can rest in child's pose. Some of you actually, after being upside down, might want to sit up on your heels. That is totally up to you. We're going to do it one more time. So just rest how feels good to you, whether it's in child's pose or you'd rather sit up, have your head above your heart again. Let your shoulders release. Take nice full breaths. And then again, we're going to come on forward. Now, if you don't want to do a dolphin at all, don't do it. If you'd rather do a forearm plank, you can, or a half forearm plank. If you are in dolphin and you can let yourself think of lifting a leg up in the air, do. You know, if that doesn't feel good, don't do it, but you can lift one leg up. And then when you're ready, you can switch and lift the other leg up in the air. Good. And then when you're ready, coming on back down with both feet. And then releasing and letting yourself come down with your knees. Take a couple of breaths in child's pose if you can. Good. And then from here, we're going to make our way around to sitting. So coming on up and bringing your legs on around in front of you. And stretch your legs on out. It almost feels like spring temperature in here. There's no heat on. It's like warm. nice to sweat a little bit. So we're going to bring let's bring our left leg in. I'm going to mirror you, remember. Now you can leave this right leg long if you want, or you can fold it up under you, because all we're going to do is just sort of let ourselves rock our leg back and forth. Think of releasing your hip as much as you can. You know, it can be lower. It doesn't have to be up close to you. It can be up more if you want. You know, you can cradle your leg like that. That's, you know, it depends on how your hip's built. So trying to let yourself just release there a little bit in your hip. Good. And then from there, just sort of draw your knee back a little bit. Almost like, you know, somebody's pulling your knee back towards the wall, a little behind you, just a little more release that way. And then we're going to come down and switch. So again, once you bring this other leg up, you can stretch this leg out long if it's better, right? And then again, you know, it could be down here that you're just trying to find, like, you're feeling the weight of the leg. If I were to let go, it's going to fall, right? I'm not trying to hold it there with my muscles in my leg. I'm actually trying to let go. So it's just that rocking, like rock the baby back and forth. And you just mindfully be easy about what feels good to you, and you know that. Don't force anything in your hip. And again, you can kind of hug the leg up closer if you want. You can stay with it way down here. And you can even have it longer, right, if your knee doesn't want to bend that deeply. And then if you can, think of kind of pulling it back a little, like somebody's pulling that knee back towards the wall, but you're sort of pushing it a little bit with your hand. You know, we used to think of talking on the phone, remember when we used to do that? And then bring your feet on down together for Badakanasana. But if you can, hold your ankles. Feet don't have to totally touch. In fact, you don't even have to lift your feet up. If you can just lean back a little bit. There's the core body. Now, if you want to come into full balanced Biokanasana, you can lift your feet up and you can hold on, right? Not necessary to do this. And if you're like, I'm not doing any of this, I'm keeping my feet down, you can just be in your Badakanasana, right? And I know some of you like to play with lengthening legs out in this, right? So actually the hardest one is to do one leg at a time so that you really have to use the core body so you don't fall over. And then the easiest really is both legs. Even if you don't straighten your legs out, you know, you're really using your core here though, but you can come straighter if you want. So you can play with that. Yeah, and I know a lot of you like to go into boat pose from here, so if you like to, you can. You can bring your feet on up and let yourself come on into your boat pose, which is really a lot of work in the core body, right? So just play a little bit. Let it be fun. Stay with the knees bent if you need, and like stay in Badakanasana with your feet on the floor if that's better, right? Good. And then we're going to bring our feet into Badakanasana on the floor, and then ease your way. I know, some of us coming forward in this is not comfortable. You can always keep your hands behind you like this. Let yourself just enjoy lengthening up. Or you can ease your way forward. Remember, your feet can be as far away from you as you like. So your feet can be way out here. You can have a diamond shape. Maybe that makes it feel better for you to come forward. So totally up to you. Just take your time. Let yourself be easy there. Mindful how you're feeling your hips and your back. And imagine that your knees are just gently reaching away from each other. So you're feeling the inner thighs become really long. One more breath. And as we slowly come on back up from here, we're going to bring our knees on up, and you can stretch your legs out for a second. We're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So if you need to wiggle around a little bit before you do, let yourself, when you're ready, come on down. Bring your knees on into your chest and let yourself move the knees a little from side to side. Or if it feels better to you, you know, you can have your right hand on your right knee, your left hand on your left knee, and make circles. Like the knees can circle in the same direction. Or you can stop in reverse directions. Or you can even stop at center and then circle the knees in opposite directions, right? So they come away from each other and circle. All of those are different feelings, right, in your low back and your hips. Good. So finish off with the knees at center. Stretch your legs up in the air for a second. Let the legs come back and forth like you're cross-country skiing on the ceiling a little bit. Just bring your arms on out beside you into a T position. Let your palms face up. Let your arms be really soft. Good. And then we'll bend the knees, bring the feet to the floor, and now just extend your right leg up long. And we're going to come over to the left, come in and do a little twist, right? So now you can either just go a little ways, or you can reach your right foot towards your left hand out there if you want to go that far. Letting yourself come into twist here. One more breath there. And as you start to head on back up, once you get there, do just what your body wants to do. Do you feel like bringing your knees open to your chest? Do you feel like you would like to stretch your legs up again? Really, anything your body wants to do right now to be more comfortable. If you need to do any other kind of pose or movement, if you need to do a plow pose, bridge pose, another hip opener. So take your time. Now you want to let your body get its wiggles out so that when you do get ready to come into Shavasana, it feels just right. So remember, just right might mean you'd like to have some support. If anyone would like a bolster, blanket, please. So let me know, wave at me if the idea of a little support sounds good for under your head or your knees, or anything that sounds good. And just appreciate receiving your breaths now, in and out. Keep letting your awareness, keep letting your awareness come back to your breath. Every time your mind wanders off. So as you find those little quiet places where you can give your body and your brain time to benefit, just allow yourself to relax. Your body and your brain know what to do. They know how to benefit from all you just did. So just give yourself these few minutes and allow yourself to completely and fully relax. deeper breaths. Start to bring you back into a body move gradually. Fingers, toes, hands, feet when you're ready. You know, you may feel good to stretch. You may feel better to bend and bring your knees in. Just take your time. You're welcome to stay on your back. You're welcome to roll anytime to your right or your left side. If that feels good, you might want to use your arm as a pillow on your side there and rest comfortably. And just feel cradled by the ground a little longer if you can. And be really easy about rising up when you're ready. Like you're floating your way up. And when you do start to come up, get comfortable in how you're sitting.